Welcome back to today's video. So today we're going to cover the Virginia governor election of 2017. So this is going to be the most hotly contested governor election that we're going to see in a long time. This will be the 2017 general election between Ralph Northam and Ed Gillespie, and it's going to be one for the ages. I mean, this election has been getting very, very close. There are predictions for both sides, and I'm going to give you my take of what I see for the future of Virginia for the next 4 years. So, of course, our two main candidates, there is a Libertarian candidate, but I've decided not to include her into these predictions because I don't think she'll make that much of an effect. I think it's a she, based off the name. It could be a he, I could be wrong, but I'm just going to address them as she, because I don't know the name personally. I just read it off Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, okay. But, so we have Ed Gillespie, of course, and Ralph Northam, so these ads have been going back and forth. I live in the state of Maryland, so I get these ads because I'm in the DMV area. I guess it's just somehow how we get it. And these ads are very vicious. Both of these, I've seen the Ed Gillespie ads being a little more vicious towards Ralph Northam. I think Ralph Northam's really taking his doctor appeal and pushing it, and Ed Gillespie is going after Ralph Northam for a number of issues, some that I don't even feel comfortable saying on this video, but MS-13 is one of the most prominent ones. So that's going to be something that's going to factor into these elections, and considering that this election was a swing state in 2016 compared to New Jersey, which was safe blue, this one's probably going to be the most watched throughout the country. So let's go through the candidate analysis. So we have Ed Gillespie, who ran on a 2014 platform to repeal and replace Obamacare, which could get him a lot of that Republican base to come out and vote for him. And then we have Ralph Northam, who's the Democratic nominee. We'll talk about primaries in just a second, but Ralph Northam, he was a doctor. He was part of the state of Virginia. He's the current lieutenant governor, and his approval ratings are pretty high. Ed Gillespie, I'm not so sure about what Ed Gillespie is personally, but his role in the state of Virginia, he's well known throughout Virginia. His name has been out there more than once. In 2014, it was definitely out there. And pretty much this is just going to be a matchup between two high-profile candidates, one backed by the majority of the GOP and one backed by the majority of the Democratic Party. Both had splitting in the primaries, which we'll talk about in just a second. So let's look at the endorsements. So on Ralph Northam's side, we have huge political figures. We have Barack Obama, Joe Biden, of course, the president and vice president before the Trump administration, Hillary Clinton, and Tim Kaine, the candidates that won the state of Virginia in 2016. Tim Kaine being a current senator from the state of Virginia, along with Mark Warner, who is a former governor and now senator from Virginia, and Terry McAuliffe, the incumbent governor of Virginia. So all of these are very helpful to Ralph Northam. He has the Democratic base right behind him. But let's look at Ed Gillespie. He has far more endorsements. Even though they may not be as high leveled, there are far more endorsements for Ed Gillespie than there are for Ralph Northam. So we have Donald Trump, of course, the incumbent president, and Mike Pence. So that's really going to help him. During the primaries, he really split the Trump vote between him and Corey Stewart, and that really hurt. But we're going to talk about that in just a second. But Mike Pence and Donald Trump, I think that could bring back a lot of the Trump base. George Allen, who was a former senator from Virginia. Ted Cruz, of course, prominent Republican figure who almost won the nomination in 2016. Nikki Haley, prominent Republican woman. And Marco Rubio, senator from the state of Florida. Let's look at some polling data real quick. So as you can see on the top left, we have the RCP average, Real Clear Politics average between these two. And you can see Ed Gillespie has pretty much been surging up. Ralph Northam had an 8% lead, and now he has a 1.2% lead. So Gillespie has really been skyrocketing up in the polls compared to where he was in June. And a lot of these ads and a lot of these terrorist attacks are really not looking good for the current lieutenant governor. But we'll talk about how that's going to factor in just a second. Now let's look at on the top right, we have the current approval rating for Terry McAuliffe. So Terry McAuliffe endorsed Northam, of course, Northam being Terry McAuliffe's lieutenant governor, and the current RCP average shows that Terry McAuliffe has an 11.2% overall more approved than disapprove in the state of Virginia, 48% approval rating to 37% disapproval rating, and that's pretty good for an endorsement, but again, this is not the exact candidate, so people may just like people liked Obama but voted for Trump, these are not always an accurate representation of where the voter race will go to. Here are the actual polls. As you can see on the bottom left, we had a lot of Northam plus 13, Northam plus 7, Northam plus 5. More consistent leads. Now it's narrowing down to tie. Gillespie plus 3, tie. Northam plus 1, spreading out to Northam 1.2. Now, some of these may be oddballs, but there's been a consistent lead for Northam up until the past couple days, and that's going to be something that's really going to hurt the Northam campaign. And we're going to look at the predicted odds based off where the stock market was last night. It was 61% Democratic. Now it is 57%. About a month ago, it was around 70%. I actually saw it at 80 at one point for the Democratic Party, which was very surprising. Now the GOP is really making inroads here, and they're bringing their odds back up. Let's look at the demographics based off the 2010 census. This is not really an accurate representation considering that we are 7 years past this, but there have been far more minorities coming into the state of Virginia, but overall that would be beneficial for the for the Democratic Party in Virginia. But we'll look right here. So the African American alone population is 19.39% according to the census of the total population. The white alone is around 70%. So that's going to be something that's going to be helpful, and the African American population is going to be something that's hurtful to the GOP. So the white alone, typically white, uneducated, by uneducated I mean no college degree, and pretty much college degree, they tend to vote Republican. This is an off year, so you do have to factor that in to favor the Republican Party, but then again, this is an anti-Trump year. So I think that weighs out the overall off year, Democrats not getting out to vote, because I think Democrats are going to start to realize what elections are coming up, and then it's not just a presidential election that you have to vote in, and that you have to vote in every election. And Donald Trump has really, if anything, helped the Democratic Party get more voters out to vote against him. And the population by race, right now the minority population is not so high in Virginia. White alone is reaching around 70%, but that's not that helpful for the Democratic Party. But then again, demographics have changed since then. More minorities have come in, which is helpful to the Democratic Party. And gender, so there are more females than males in the state of Virginia, which should be very helpful for the Democratic Party. They tend to win females more than the GOP. The GOP wins the male population more than they win the female population, but more than they lose the female population, I guess. But the female population will definitely help the Democratic Party. However, the GOP definitely does better amongst men than the Democrats do with women. So that's going to be something that's going to help the GOP, considering there's pretty much an even split between them. And let's look at the 2016 general election results. So we all know Hillary Clinton won the state of Virginia by around 5%, and you could say that is a lot because of Tim Kaine, but I think she would have won the state regardless of Tim Kaine being the nominee. But since he was the VP nominee, we can't really say anything about that. But Hillary Clinton won, and their 13 electoral votes went to her. She won 49% of the vote, and that wasn't a clear majority of over 50%, but she still won the state of Virginia. And there's been a more Democratic base in Virginia that's been coming out, voted for Obama 2 times, then voted for Hillary, even though Trump won states like Michigan. 12 years ago, you could never say a Democrat would win Virginia but lose Michigan, or would win Virginia but lose Pennsylvania, or would win Virginia but lose Wisconsin. The state of Virginia used to be solidly red, and now is a pretty solid Democratic state. Not safe, but pretty solid Democratic state. And we'll look at the primary results, because this primary was very hotly contested on both sides. The Democratic primary was supposed to go to Tom Perolio, but it didn't go through. But Ed Gillespie on the other side was supposed to win by a landslide. The roles kind of swapped. Northam won by a landslide in the Democratic primary, and Ed Gillespie had more of a challenge than he thought he would. Corey Stewart is the essential Trump representation of the Republican Party in Virginia. Now Donald Trump endorsing Ed Gillespie, that definitely helps him. But the Corey Stewart splitting the party vote really would have hurt Ed Gillespie in the general election, but they seem to come back. Corey Stewart's now running for Senate in 2018, so his attentions are elsewhere, not going back to a race that he lost. And if you look at the Democratic primary, Tom Perolio endorsed Ralph Northam, considering that it was a 10-point percentage in between, even though Tom Perolio was supposed to win by 4%. That's considerable, and that's helpful for the Democratic Party. And let's look at my prediction. So I do predict that Northam will win the Virginia governor election. Now, the reasoning behind it is, after everything that's happened with the anti-Trump, with the energy on the Democratic side, I think he will win with 50.7% of the vote. That's not going to be accurate on come Tuesday, because I don't really know the state of Virginia as well as other people may, but that's just a small representation of where I think it will be within 50 to 51 for Northam and 48 to 49 for Gillespie. And I think this will be a very close race. It will be watched until the end of the night. but overall I do think Northam would win the general election based off all his endorsements, the anti-Trump year, Democrats coming out, the minority populations, the 2016 general election results, the consistent political ads. Although the polls may be tightening, they still show Northam ahead, so we don't have any clear indication that a Gillespie victory is going to be prominent, and I have pretty much enough information to say that I think Northam would win the general election. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down below if you agree or disagree with my predictions. I'll respond to most people because I can't get to everyone, but I'll respond to you if you would say that Gillespie would win because of X. And I'll respond to you with my points as to why I think Northam would win. And subscribe for more of this content, and don't forget to check out the mock election community where you can run for president, senator, or representative, or pretty much do anything in the community. It's just like a mock United States elections, and we have midterms, and it's pretty great, so you should go check it out. It'll be in the description below. Again, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.